Good morning. Welcome to Shul.com. We are learning the practical guide for a Ben Torah by Salomon Mishan Mercado. It's a beautiful book. It's a gentleman out, I believe, in Mexico that wrote the book. It was translated to English. Very, very well written, broken down. It gives you all the insights. It's a short little book, and we've been doing it every day. The behavior of a Ben Torah. Avodat Hashem Leshem Shamayim. Rav Avigdor Miller said, we must always fulfill what the Torah says and do mitzvot Leshem Shamayim, which means just to give Hashem satisfaction of fulfilling His will and not doing it to receive honors, congratulations, applause, or some payment in the Shamayim, since that can lose all of our good deeds. And he brings this down in Torah Avigdor, Volume 1, page 45. Now, this is interesting, because Rabbi Miller is stating that you have to do mitzvot not expecting the sachar in the next world. Kal vachomer, all the more so, somebody who's doing mitzvot in order to get other things in this world. You know, the Pirkei Avot talks about individuals who use the Torah, lachbor bo, kardom lachbor bo. They use it, the Torah, like a shovel, in order to dig, in order to get things done. And you see it sometimes. You see it often, where people use the title or their position in order to get things done. They're using the Torah for things that are not the Shem Shamayim in this world. Rabbi Miller was telling you in the next world you should do mitzvot even if you're not going to get sachar. Just why? Why would someone do it? Because he already realized, he believes in emunah, that there's a God in the world. God created the world, and God said to do these things. Now, the fact that you're going to get reward, okay, so you get reward. There are many tzaddikim that said even if God didn't give them the reward, they would still do it because that was the will of God, which is next level. It's the next level of emunah.
Do it just to do it.
Just to do it. And he's saying about the next world. We're not talking about people who are doing it to get sachar in this world. That's for sure no good and improper. There's a concept called tocho kebaro. The inside is like the outside. This was the shita originally of Bet Shammai. Bet Shammai said, in our yeshiva, we have tocho kebaro. We check the guy out. Is he good? Is he not good? Is he perfect in his family? Is he honest? Does he mean what he say? Does he say what he mean? That was Bet Shammai. Bet Hillel said, no, we take everybody. We're open. Anyone that wants to come learn, we take them. Well, there are examples of yeshivot that are like that. Some yeshivot are Bet Hillel. They take anybody. A guy's Jewish, he's ready to learn, we'll take him. There's other places, no, they go through a rigorous process, like Bet Shammai. Now, what is Tocho Kebaro? Which is that we must be authentic people and not behave with hypocrisy or falsehood. The Rambam says a Ben Torah should always be a genuine person. In other words, be consistent with what he says and what he does. He brings this down in Rambam Hilchot De'ot 2-6. In this regard, I heard that a person said that on Pesach he doesn't purchase ketchup because of a humrah. He doesn't eat ketchup on Pesach because his wife will make it up herself. And however, someone saw her buying 3 containers of ketchup at the store. Interesting. I guess he didn't translate this in the easiest way possible. So the guy was saying, he was going around telling everybody, I don't buy even ketchup on Pesach. And then another guy saw his wife in the supermarket. She's picking up all the ketchup, all the bottles. You know, the funny thing about ketchup and choices, they did this years ago. I remember this in Shiva Flatbush High School. They did a report on ketchup in supermarkets. It's an interesting business tactic. They wanted to see how can they increase the purchase of ketchup. So what they did is they had supermarkets and they had certain aisles. And what they did is they set up aisles and they put the ketchup at different heights, lower height, higher height, eyesight height. And they kind of figured, and they saw there were changes. The eyesight height was better than bending down and going up. Then they did another thing. They said that we're going to put not just the regular ketchup, 1 or 2 or 3, we're going to put 35 different varieties of ketchup, different flavors. They noticed when they put 30 plus varieties in the supermarket, sales of ketchup went down. There was too many choices and people froze up and they didn't know what to do. And then what they do, they eliminated back. They put only 3 or 4 different ones at eye level, and all the sales went back. This is kind of the problem that exists today, is that today we have so many choices that people freeze up and don't make any decision. It's a problem. It happens quite often where people want to make a decision, but they have so many options, they feel that any option they make will be the wrong one, so they say they won't make any.
It's like cable TV. All these stations, and now you don't watch it at all.
I don't have TV, so I don't know. Another example is while a person was teaching a Torah class, someone said he doesn't drink even a glass of water outside the sukkah, which is a chumrah. You can drink yeah, okay, but it's a chumrah. It's not halacha. If you want to drink water, you definitely could drink water outside the sukkah. And so they see a guy. He says he doesn't even drink a glass of water. However, the next day, while no one was looking, he's eating chocolates outside the sukkah, and chocolates is a food. And so this is the idea of this, is that you have to be authentic. And as who knows if a person's authentic or not? His wife. Mm-hmm. Not a lot. Your friends won't always know, but your wife will more often than not know about it. Something interesting about the Chol Kevaro, I think you guys will appreciate this, and this is on Lavan HaArami. Lavan HaArami. What zechut does this guy have that he has 4 daughters from 2 different wives, main wife and a Pilegesh? He has Rachel and Leah, Bilhan, Zilpah. What does this guy do? This guy, the Torah has nothing good to say about him. It calls him a Rasha, he's wicked, all the Mefarshim have nothing. What is so good about this guy that Hashem said, you know what? I'm going to give you the Bechir Shaba'avot, I'm going to give you Yaakov Avinu, and all the Shevatim are going to come from him. We discussed this, John. So we're going to go back. Of course,
he was an honest crook.
He was an honest crook. And what do we say there? Is that Lavan never gave off the impression that he was an honest man in business. He made it clear to everybody he was the head of the mafia, and I'm not. I'm in charge over here. I take 5% off the top on everyone that does business here. And I want you to know that tomorrow might be 7%. Or it might be 10%. I'm not giving any commitments. I'm not that guy. And he would go around, and people know him that way. But he maintained that. Hashem said he's a wicked guy, but he steals. He's inauthentic, but he has some authenticity, and that he doesn't lie to people. What's the biggest issue today? Is that people act honest and then they steal. Lavan, he was stealing and he was acting dishonest from the beginning. Hashem said, okay, that's a bad trait, but we can adjust that a little bit. If we make that into honesty, you'll be honest in and out. One of the worst things is when a person's echad b'peh, echad b'lev. He says what he doesn't mean, he means what he doesn't say, and you know what? Because people believe other individuals, and what you do is you lose the trust in the people. And so this was a little bit of a tactic, a little bit of an idea that I saw on Lavan. The Chavot HaLevavot says that a condition to Avodat Hashem is to serve and honor only the Borei Olam. The person who honors people is stealing God's honor. It's another idea from the Chavot HaLevavot, Shar Avodat Elohim. Why is it a problem to honor people improperly? We must be very careful of the way we give honors to important people, either for their money or their honor, or we want to get something from them. That's probably the most, where they give honor because they know the individual can do something. But this dishonesty, and what happens is the people see when the top tier of individuals go and do things like this, or be what's called mechanef, is they honor people that are rishaim, or they honor people that they know are completely wicked. What happens? The trust of that individual at the top that's doing it gets dismissed. Because people say, okay. Everyone has their thing. Okay, it's okay. They make those kind of things. I got it. They understood. I understood it. Yeah, the guy's the biggest rasha. I remember that one time, it was very funny. I was in shul once, and guy walked in during the Hakafot Simchat Torah, and I'm standing next to him, and the guy is like, what are these crazy black hats doing these Hakafot? He goes, this stuff is a bunch of silliness. He goes, I can't believe that, like he said. And he's a guy who goes to shul, a Syrian guy. He's like, well, I don't get it. He's like, they're constantly, I don't get it. And he was a wealthy guy. But, I guess he wasn't so, the way I saw it, the guy's a good guy. Just he was never properly introduced to it. He didn't go to a full yeshiva system, and I gave him a lot of credit because I know the guy is a big Baal Tzedakah. But anyway, at the end, the rabbi invited him for the last hakafa, like the second to last hakafa, and I was like just thinking in my mind, I was like, it's just it was just funny, like hearing the whole thing, and then literally the guy got invited because for his financial ability, but hearing what he had to say before and then watching it and observing the whole situation, I found that to be very interesting. Okay, we're different, it says here. Rav Shach wrote, we're living in situations that we've never seen, such as impudence, disrespect, and lashon hara, which abound in the world. Is our behavior appropriate? As the Chafetz Chaim writes in his book, those of us who truly consider ourselves Bnei Torah have to take strength and conduct themselves properly and not like our world today. That's both down in Machshevet Musar 2-286. That technically today, the outside world has gone to a level that's it's unbelievable. I mean, today people have a difficulty understanding or identifying their gender. For all the more so, I mean, we live in a religionless society for the most part. I mean, there is such a thing of separation of church and state. We studied the Constitution. It doesn't mean no church, all state. It means the separation of church and state. That's what the forefathers wanted. You know, as a side note, the forefathers considered at one point that the language of the land of America should be Hebrew, Lashon HaKodesh. Many people don't know that. They even considered that in the New World. Goes to show you, these were the devout, religious individuals. But today they took what they had originally wanted to separate, and they took it so far where today saying God already in a school can get a person. Should get a person fired. No, but you know what? It's good. At least you have now at least one country in the world, Israel, that speaks Lashon HaKodesh. Rav Shach wrote, being a Ben Torah is a great pride, and we shouldn't be ashamed of being different from most people in the world, since we clearly see the difference between a Ben Torah and the people of the world. His education, his behavior at parties and weddings, and his qualities in general. It's a great pride to be a true Ben Torah, but it's also a great responsibility. Also, Machshevet Musar 2-499. It's a great responsibility. You were born into this, and you can't get out of it. There's no such a thing as converting if you're a Jew. Once you're a Jew for life. You can't get out of it. I'm sorry if you were told otherwise by Jews for J or some other thing. It's it. You're stuck for life. Can't do anything about it. And you know what? I'll be honest. The guy who learns in the yeshiva system, and he knows about sachar and onish, he can never truly enjoy a sin the rest of his life. This guy was already trained. He was trained from a young life. And so even if he does a sin, he'll never truly enjoy it. It's not like a Hiloni who was Tinok Shenishpa. He didn't know anything. Here, a guy, once he learns, he can never truly, and there's good to that. There's a lot of good to that. Vacations and places of rest. Going on vacations. This is a big one. Rav David Shweki said, there are people that when going on vacation make some kulot that normally they wouldn't do. Or they visit some places they usually wouldn't go because they need to amuse themselves a little. And that's the reason of paying the price of loosening up their spiritual level. We must stop to analyze and think, is it convenient to give up a little on religion to enjoy the holidays better? I remember as a kid growing up, nobody went away for Pesach. It didn't exist. If someone went away for Pesach, they were going to Israel. Nobody went away for Pesach. And then, I mean, what started happening is a few rabbis in the community were invited because they made these big Pesach programs and they needed rabbis. You can't do a Pesach program without a rabbi. I mean, you need mashgiach. And they started to get some of the rabbis and bring them over to the Pesach trips. And what ended up happening, more people started going. And then it became a standard. But I give credit to a few of the halabis in Brooklyn who refuse to go away on Pesach. And they stick to their guns and till now, till today. But it's a common thing today. Everyone's going away for Pesach. That's not it's not a Jewish trip.
My father said that Pesach is meant to be done at home. That's
yes.
The whole idea.
Yes, it's
your home.
I went on these Pesach trips and I still go on them. I can tell you it's very far from the kiddusha of doing it at home properly. I think the best thing would be to do it in Israel. If you could rent a house in Israel, go to Israel, you do it better. But the programs in and of themselves, it takes away everything. It really does. Why have I gone? I've gone. Family, my kids, my wife, they want to go, but you have to rein in the thing, because you lose the holidays. You almost don't even feel it's a holiday. I'm not kidding. And with the way they set up the food today, you wouldn't even know it's Pesach. You go on these trips. I'm not kidding. I didn't know it was Pesach. They have everything. They're serving pizza. They figured out how to make pizza. They figured out how to make bagels. And I don't even care for that stuff. But it goes to show you the level and it's only becoming more and more and more. And so this is part of the Yetzer Hara of this generation. It's all about materialism. It's about food, about materialism. Rav Shach wrote, the holiday season could make us lose much of what we worked and achieved throughout the year. That's why during the holidays, people should study every day, daven with concentration or pray and continue behaving like a Ben Torah wherever they are, as brought down in Machshevet Musar 2-138. The Stipler wrote, there are young people who think that Ben Hazmanim, the vacation season, is hefker. What's Ben Hazmanim? Ben Hazmanim is during in the yeshiva world, they have times where yeshiva is active, and then they have times yeshiva is off. So they call that time Ben Hazmanim, the first man and second man. Rav Musafi stated very clearly that there was no such a thing as Ben Hazmanim in Yerushalayim or in Israel, especially in Porat Yosef. It never happened. They never had Ben Hazmanim. They studied all the time. There was never a time where you went there and there was no one learning. Today, there's a concept of Ben Hazmanim. We even know when they are, because we live in Miami, so we know when they're coming down. That is to say that everyone can do whatever they want and exempts them from studying Torah, but that's a serious mistake. No time exempts us from studying Torah while we can. I know of many people who became great in Torah precisely because they studied the days of Ben Hazmanim. That's brought up in Rabbeinu HaKehilot Yaakov. So what do you say? He's stating here something interesting. Most of the Gedolim became Gedolim because they studied in the off time, and they studied when they had free time in other places, not only Ben Hazmanim. Like I'll give you an example. There was one of the Gedolim who stated he finished the entire Shas when only waiting for his wife. He would hold in his pocket a little mini pamphlet Gemara, small one always in his pocket, and he only studied it when he had to wait for his wife. So he had his regular study, everything. Whenever you had to go to a party, you had to go out to eat, his wife, you ready, honey? Yeah, I need more time. Okay, no problem. He sat there, he would learn. He finished Shas on that. He probably finished it faster than Daf Yomi even. Probably covered multiple Dapim a day. There's no doubt about that.
Is the chut his wife gets.
Yeah, right? And she doesn't get it. She goes to Shamayim one day. They're going to give her a golden set of Shas in the Olam Haba.
She didn't even know.
Yeah. The study in Ben Hazmanim is very important for two reasons. There is much more siyata dishmaya when we study while others lose that time. And number two, in Ben Hazmanim, you can study where you like and what you like. That's interesting. That's also brought down the same sefer. That what is he saying? That during the off time, you get to choose what you like. A lot of times, you have to study the curriculum that's already set forth in the yeshiva. An interesting thing Rabbi Musafi brings down is that when a person learns when nobody else is learning in the town, he takes the zechut of everybody. Don't underestimate this. Don't underestimate it. If you know on a Friday afternoon, 2 hours before Shabbat, there's not one person in the entire town sitting and learning, and you go to the Beit Midrash and learn, you carry the zechut and the merit of everybody in the town. There was a famous story of the Gaon of Vilna. It was the Gaon of Vilna, I think maybe even the Arizal. It was the Arizal that one time he had a student in his class, and he saw the student in the morning, and he told the student, last night, you hit the jackpot. He said, what do you mean? He said, last night, you were studying at around 3:17 a.m. He goes, yeah, I was reviewing the learning. He goes, yeah, but what you don't know is that you were the only person on earth that was learning Torah for that minute. And you took the zechut of the entire earth. And the boy was so happy and joyous from this. Yeah, after he heard that, he got a little bit gava, and then he lost his level. But what I'm trying to get from it is that there's times where you could learn and you get the zechut of everybody. If everyone's learning, okay, everyone's getting a beracha. But when you're the only one, there is something to that. Don't underestimate when a guy opens a book at home and he reviews a couple of hilchot lashon hara or something like that. Don't underestimate that. That's a big in the Shamayim. Being a ben Torah. Rav Shach wrote, in recent times, we've lost truly bnei Torah. Of course, in recent times. From the time already of the Gemara, we lost people that were Anam, that were Hasidim, because streets are full of people far away from the Torah. We have very few people who fulfill as they should. There are very few Bnei Torah within the people of Israel. Therefore, each one of us must strengthen on this issue and not follow all those people who are far from being truly Bnei Torah. Also, Machshevet Musa 2-95. It's interesting. If you look at how much Torah we're learning today, we're learning more Torah today. We have more yeshivot, more kolelim, and more established places to learn than ever. But the interesting thing about it is that we're actually not producing gedolim like we did 75 years ago when we had much less yeshivot. And so, obviously, there's an ingredient that we're not putting into the equation here.
Well, it's like I said, you have cable TV, you have all the channels, you end up doing nothing.
Okay, again.
But when you're restricted and you're not allowed, let's say, then you dafka go, you get attracted to it more.
So I found a good reason why I believe this is the case, and I believe the main reason as to why we don't see the gedolim today is because of kedusha. Now, kedusha has nothing to do with learning Torah. A person could learn Torah all day and be the farthest from being holy. What does kedusha entail? Kedusha is kaddish atzmach b'mutar lach. You have to make yourself holy with what you're allowed to do. What you're not allowed to do and you don't do, hazaku baruch. That's the obligation. We're talking about situations where a person now is careful. I'm allowed to eat, a steak for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I could. It's allowed. It's Bet Yosef. It's kasher, but you don't have to do that. Or I'm allowed to go on a vacation every single weekend, 3 times a month or 4 times a month. You could do it, but you lose kedusha. There's a certain level of kedusha when you rein in from your ability to do certain things, and you actually will feel it. Other ways of kedusha is eyes, what you listen to. There's a whole thing which we're not going to go into it right now in regards to music, that when it comes to music, today the Jewish music is a big thing. But the reality is, if you look at the Halacha, Shulchan Aruch, Rambam, the Gemara, music has been banned from all the Gedolim, from Tanaim, Amoraim, and Rishonim. I'd never found one rabbi from before the year 1100 or 1200 that said it was allowed to listen to music. The only exception was a wedding, Simchat Hatan B'Kala, where you can have a band and you can do it. With that exception, we made Jewish music, popular, and I listen to Jewish music as well. But that is, there is a form of violation if you actually look at the text of the Gemara. They were trying to tell you something. We don't want you to listen to music because of the Churban Bayit Sheni, that we want you to constantly remember it. And that affects Kedusha. Now, is it difficult? Yes. Is it something that you're going to see someone from the pulpit get up and tell you not to do? No, probably not. But if you want to ask for Kedusha, you want to know where the solution is, that's the standard. We brought down the standard and we made the below standard kosher. But if you look in the reality, it's not. What are some exceptions? Singing without instruments.
I think you lose a lot of people if you have that all the time. That's, Judaism is having a renaissance in the last 20, 30 years because of the happiness part of it, not the...
Yeah, so I think that a person could be happy, and there are ways. Like I told you, you're allowed to sing, you're allowed to... just without instruments. The idea is the instrument part, and I'm not telling you not to listen to music. I'm telling you what the standard is if you're wondering why there's no Kedusha. And you're wondering why the guy is listening to a shi'ud, he listens to shi'ud 25 times, he can't remember it. You know why? Because he used the same ears for listening to the wrong things constantly. And so, I'm not telling anyone not to listen to music. That's the Tanaim, Amoraim, Rambam, Shulchan Aruch, along with everyone. And that's why if you look in the Shulchan Aruch, and
don't listen to music walking out.
Yeah, if you look in the Shulchan Aruch in Hilchot Sefirat HaOmer, I remember when we did this in the Shul Bel Harbor, I gave them the halakha. I think it was like 3-4 seifim in the siman, and I told everybody, if you notice, the Shulchan Aruch didn't mention music. I said, so maybe music's allowed. He mentioned different things about giluach, is it rather shaving, is it cutting hair? He's spoken about different things you're not supposed to do, but he didn't talk about music. I told him, where's the music? I said, you know why he doesn't have any music here? It was never allowed. And if you look at Hilchot Tisha B'Av, he'll tell you over there that you don't listen to music. So I'm like, I said to him, you have to know that. Why do I say it? Because if someone chooses, someone's listening to the shiur, and he wants to gain a little bit kedusha, I tell everybody, do the 30-day challenge. Do 30-day challenge. Don't listen to music, nothing, for 30 days. Only listen to shiurim, only listen to things that you like, and work on yourself. Speak to your heart. Don't let your heart speak to you. John knows what I'm talking about because we're doing a Musar book on that. How don't let your feelings control you. You control your feelings. Try it for 30 days. Let everyone do the 30-day challenge. 30-day challenge, go to shul early every day. 30-day challenge, do tikkun hatzot every day, 30 days. 30 days, go to the mikveh. Try it for a month. Baruch Hashem, we live 70, 80, 90, 100 years. People, Baruch Hashem, are living long lives. Take 30 days of your life and give it back to God and say, God, you know what? I'm not going to listen to music for 30 days. And why? I'm going to give it to matana back to you. As a zechut to have the Beit HaMikdash be rebuilt. That's a matana I'm giving back. Now Hashem says, I know it's challenging. I know how much you enjoy that music. I know it uplifts your spirit. But now you gave something back to me because I have no home. What do you mean he has no home? Baruch Hashem, everyone here has a home. God is homeless. He has no home. We took away his home. Why? Because we decided to hate each other more than love each other. Hashem said, I can't hang around here. And he picked up and he left. And came the Babylonians the first time and the Romans the second time. And we're now 2,000 years and we still don't have it. And that is what we say, is that the Shekhinah has nowhere to rest. You know, moving from Miami to, from Brooklyn to Miami, you got to find a home. You got to rent, you buy, you go look. And there was a period where I was looking for a house, and I had sold my house, and I bought a house in deal, but I didn't yet buy here in Miami, and I was renting, but I kind of felt like I don't know where am I going to be? Like I was a little bit in that zone, and I shouldn't say I felt what the Shekhinah feels, but I kind of felt what it was like not being fully set with a home. And that's the feeling a person has to have when you're thinking about the Shekhinah. What do you mean the Shekhinah is in the Afad? The Shekhinah. Imagine a homeless guy on the street. He has nowhere to go. That's the Shekhinah. What do? How do we compensate for this? Is we build shuls. We call them Mikdash Me'at. It's a mini Mikdash. We tell God, okay, listen, we can't build you the big one in Yerushalayim just yet, but at least we're going to make you a little Mikdash Me'at. We'll make you a little home. And over here, we'll make it. We'll have some sanctity, the awness of God. We'll pray. We'll learn your books. We'll learn the books that you like, and we'll get closer to you from that capacity. That's why the biggest thing that I always tell everybody, you don't talk during tefillah, because this is not your home. This is God's home. And I assure you, if you were invited to the White House, lehabdil ben latameh latahor, if you were invited to the White House and the president was standing right in front and he was making a speech, or the president was sitting down and you had the Secretary of State right next to him getting up there and talking about the praises of the president, and the guy's there on his phone, the guy's there talking, the guy with his friend joking, they would probably escort him out. They'll call security, please remove him from the building. So if that's in a place like the White House or a presidential palace or in the parliament, why in the Beit Knesset do we not have this? And this is something that has to be worked on. It's something that we have to set a standard. The standard has to be during the tefillah, we don't talk. Rabbi Gladstein even goes farther. He says, no phones during tefillah. I remember I was with him. I drive, Baruch Hashem, many rabbis around that come down to Miami. He doesn't take the phone out of the car when he goes to pray. I saw it myself. He leaves the phone in the car. He doesn't care. It's in the car. I don't care if I'm going. I don't care emergency, nothing. I'm going to pray now. I'm going to pray to God. God will handle whatever I need to get done. And there is something to that. There's a big ma'ala on that, because the phone is the biggest distraction, the biggest yetzer hara of the generation of the year 2024, leminyanam. That is the biggest. I would even call it a form of avodah zara. Not that it's idol worship, but it's avodah. That's zara. It's a work that took us away from everything. The smartphone made dumb people. That's what it did. Today, you ask anybody. I remember when I was a kid. I remember all the phone numbers by heart. I actually still remember phone numbers from school. Now, today, I put everything in my phone. God doesn't know anyone's number. Doesn't even know, today we don't even know their emails anymore. It's gotten to a level, and it's brought everything down. Rav Shach wrote, a person who studies Torah must behave delicately. That is to say, his actions must be upright, correct, and polite at any time and place where he is. He added, I'm already an old person. I studied 80 years in various yeshivot and never heard that it's permissible to behave in a wrong way. Also, Machshevet Musar 2-199. There's a very clear rule in the Torah. The more time you spend on your material part, the less time you spend on your spiritual part. One of the ways that Rabbi Menzer taught it, he said that everything in life is either a mitzvah or an avirah. Think about it that way. Anytime you're going to do something, think, is this a mitzvah or it's an avirah? If you use this tool, generally you'll make the right decisions more often than not. Just think of it that way.
What if it's neither?
That's the problem.
Like you go to the gym.
That's the problem. It's not neither. That's a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah. You're working out. You're allowed to go to the gym. If the guy's going to the gym 2 hours a day out of 24 hours.
It's a good thing, but is it a mitzvah?
It's a mitzvah.
That might be a stretch.
No, it's a mitzvah.
Take care of yourself.
What do you mean? How is a person supposed to learn, be healthy, feel good, be uplifted? Now, of course, the gym has to be a proper gym. He's not going there with all the ladies properly dressed, and he's not going at the wrong times. He's not going before tefillah.
No kosher gym in Miami.
Okay, so if there's no kosher gym, you do what you do. You do the cold plunge. You can do some workouts at home. You're right, but you have to take that in consideration. Everything in life, that's the problem, Mark. What's the problem? Is that we made the neutral. We made everything parv. We said, no, this is parv. This is okay. This is okay. No, everything in life has to be either mitzvah or avirah. And if you think of it that way, you'll make better decisions in what you're doing. And also, you'll have your head on your shoulders a little bit better because you'll be cognizant as to what's going on. And on the contrary, the more you dedicate on the spiritual part, the less time you'll spend on the material part. There's something to this, and I'm going to get to a point when we finish reading it about the Gentiles, something that I've observed, because I go to a lot of leadership conferences, I go to a lot of different things throughout the year. Sometimes you see me, I'm out for 3-4 days, I'm traveling, and I go to a lot of these things. I try to go 3 or 4 times a year, and many of these conferences are not Jews, or sometimes when they're Jews, you don't see them. They're very discreet, but I learned a tremendous amount of chokhmah from psychology and different types of things of how to lead, how to build, how to learn, all these types of things. As a B'nai Torah, we must apply this rule to our lives. The more time and effort we dedicate to having the best car, the best clothes, being fashionable, eating the best food, traveling to the best places, chasing unnecessary luxuries, etc., will automatically lower the spiritual part of our lives. Of course, we should dress well, eat properly, travel, but let's remember that it's not the main thing, since with what our spiritual part is reduced, not everyone can or wants to understand it, but that's the way it is. So like I told you, everything's mitzvah na'avera, everything's either spiritual or materialistic. And there's the balance of having to see at all times. When you take more materialistic, you lose from the spiritual. Now, it's important to note that with Kedusha, you can raise something of a material level to a higher spiritual realm. That's what we believe. We believe that you can eat a piece of meat from an animal, and then you eat the piece, the meat, you say the berachot, you do shechita properly, you salt it, you soak it, you do all the steps. Now you raised the animal to becoming a human being. How? Because you ate the meat. What happened to the meat? It became part of your flesh, became part of your body. And now you raised. So we believe in that. But there's a balance. It should be noted, Rav Salman Musafi did not eat meat except for one time in 40 years. He ate generally chickens that he was shochet on his own because he wanted to make sure the chickens were all kosher and there were no terefot or nevelot. But that's a chumrah. Today we eat a lot of meat. We eat a lot of red meat, we eat a lot of lamb, we eat a lot of beef. The thing is, if you look today, everything's all labeled Beit Yosef. And for the most part, it's close to impossible. I love speaking to shochatim because I always ask them questions about shechita, how does the process work, how many cows, if you did 100 cows, how many are you going to get a Beit Yosef? And I never heard anyone tell me I got 100%. It's 10%, 15, 13%, very small numbers. And what we see today is that pretty much everywhere that you go, what happens? Everything's Beit Yosef meat. It's not possible. It's impossible. Something along the way is being corrupted. We don't know exactly where or who it is, and we're not pointing any fingers, but the reality is that meat is not what you think it is. It's just not possible. And so that has an effect on a person. You understand? And so a lot of times when I take a lot of rabbis out, they tell me it's a Beit Yosef meat. I said it's glat kasher meat. I don't know if it's Beit Yosef. I don't know if the guy selling you the meat can tell you if it's Beit Yosef. No, he has a hazakah. What hazakah? Everything he sells is Beit Yosef. You know today if you go to some places in Brooklyn, you can't find regular glat kasher meat. You can't. So everything became Beit Yosef. And today, what happened? I realized there was a tactic in this. Someone in the business world pointed this out. Is that what they do? They changed the name to part of their meat processing facilities and call it Beit Yosef. What does that mean? It's not. What does Beit Yosef mean? Beit Yosef was a commentary on the Tur Shulchan Aruch. He's an opinion. That's the opinion of Rabbi Yosef Karo. He wrote that when he first studied the Tur. He wrote an opinion. Then later on, he wrote the Shulchan Aruch. So in the Beit Yosef, he gave an opinion of how meat should be eaten. The problem is that people started to name their facilities Beit Yosef, and they asked, "Is that meat Beit Yosef?" He said, "Yes, it's Beit Yosef meat." Now, it's not Beit Yosef, Rabbi Yosef Karo's opinion on the Tur Shulchan Aruch. It's labeled and branded as Beit Yosef meat, and I've seen this 3 or 4 times already. Beit Yosef meat of so and so. Yeah, it has nothing to do. It's like the house of Joseph. That's what it's called. It's actually nothing to do with the halakha l'maaseh. So it's an important thing to know.
But they're been doing that. 100% organic is a trademark owned by Walmart. Like the beef is called 100% organic. It's nothing to do with
Yeah.
organic.
As a side note, the USDA organic, like you're saying, Lior, is actually when I read this recently, about maybe like a year ago, I was shocked. USDA organic. You think about it, you think, wow, it's organic. The U.S. checks it. That's not actually. It's actually nothing what it is. It could be. You could be in Dominican Republic. You get a third party company. The guy sends one inspector to the farm. He walks around the farm. You make sure to feed him well, and you make sure he goes home with a lot of crops and a lot of good grapes and tomatoes and cucumbers and avocados. And you have now on your produce USDA organic. That's what I understood it to be, unless I made a mistake. But it's nothing to do. It's done outside the country sometimes, and so it comes in. You're under the assumption it's kind of like it's all these labels. That's why a lot of the rabbis, I know a few rabbis, I know 1 or 2 rabbis don't even eat meat at all today. No meat at all, 0. And so it's
Also,
interesting.
Beit Yosef is a strict opinion, right? With the whole, if there's a hole, you could patch it up. No, for the meat and.
Yeah, so we can study the high standard of it, and then we could see how to evaluate it. But there was a few cases in the past where they discovered that there were problems. Okay, it's written in the Tehillim, Ohev Hashem sinura, whoever loves Hashem hates evil, and that's brought down in Tehillim 97-10. Rav Avigdor Miller explains that if someone lacks the rejection of what is wrong on things that people do, it's a sign that his ideology is suffering negatively. What he means is that when he sees people doing averot, he doesn't even feel that anything there is wrong. It's because it's so ingrained in him, that he lost it. And how does this happen? Generally, it happens by improperly eating non-kosher food, or eating food that's not properly kosher, listening to the wrong music, reading the wrong things has an effect where a person loses levels of kedusha. On the other hand, whoever truly loves Hashem certainly hates evil and of course causes good to exist in the world, as written in Torah Avigdor 2-134. And one interesting point that we were talking here about spirituality, materialism. I've seen in many of these conferences I've gone to, I meet very, very wealthy, very successful people. I met the other day somebody who was in the late 80s. He was 86 years old. He was on the conference with me, and happens to be he went into my group where we were sitting and discussing different tactics of technology and certain things that we were learning on psychology, technology. It was really, really good. And I asked him, I said, "What are you doing here? You're 86 years old." He's like I'm a former fighter, Air Force fighter pilot thing, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, come on, I'm like, dude, I'm like, what are you doing here? You're 86 years old. He's like, I'll tell you. He's like, I built a company for 60 years. He was in the oil business. He owns gas stations in California, and he said, we realized that we're getting older. Me and my brothers all owned the company together, and we finally agreed to sign and sell the business. I said, all right, congratulations. How much sell? He said to me, we sold it for $780 million. So we're splitting it up amongst each one. We're each going to get $250 million. So that's great. I said, it's fantastic. He said, you're right, it is. He goes, but there's a little bit of an issue. I'm like, what is it? He's like, what do I do with my life? He's like, I'm 86 years old. So he's like, what do I do with this money? He's like, I can give my kids, I'll give each one of my kids $25 million, told me. They're already all taken care of. They all already are successful professionally. What do I do now? And he's an intelligent man. He's like, what do I do with the rest of my life? He goes, I may live to 100 something. He's healthy. He was active. He was getting remarried. He was 86, getting remarried. And he showed me a picture of his wife. He invited me to California to visit him. And I said to myself, I really looked up to him. He wasn't a Jewish guy, but I said, I looked up to you. I said to him, you know what? at your age, you're still thinking about this? And he changed, I became his buddy the whole conference. We spent like a week together. It was really, really nice. He said to me, this was something that affects me. He goes, because, he goes, what am I going to wake up for every day? It's interesting. It's interesting to note that. And so one of the points I'm getting is that I noticed from a lot of these people that have reached points in their life that are very successful is that a lot of them rein in materialism. It loses the luster of what it once was, and they focus more on spirituality, of course, health, but they start to think on different things. They become like monks. They drink green tea all day, and they study spirituality, and sometimes they go to the Buddhism and all these types of things, or Zen and all Taoism and all these types of things. Why? Because now that they acquired everything materialistic, they realize, all right, this is not it. We need that spirituality. With the Torah, we already know it's all spirituality. The materialistic things will come and all that success will come, but you have to focus on the spirituality, and the spirituality is not always what you're going to get in the supermarket right off the shelf. Sometimes spirituality means taking a different book or sefer, or finding a new teacher and going to a different level in a different realm. There's over 180,000 Sfarim on Otzar HaChochmah. Over 180,000. Otzar HaChochmah is a great website where you can search and scan different books and look up different things. I have a membership with them. It's expensive. It's like $600 or $700 a year for the membership, but it's fantastic. If a person learns and he wants to find different Sfarim, it's a great place to be able to look for it. But you have to know there's a lot of books that are not going to ever get printed. It's just not financially worth it to go out there or feasible to go and print these. So they're only available in a PDF or in a digital format. But there's a lot of chokhmah in them. There's a lot of wisdom in those books, and there's a lot of rabbis that wrote unbelievable things to help a person in his life, but you have to go out and seek them. All right, we'll end it with that. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.